Adrian, you've got a major strategy for growth here at Auckland Airport. Can you basically tell us the key drivers for that growth strategy?
Look, yeah, but there's a couple of things going on in New Zealand and I think around the Pacific Rim. Fundamentally, there are some very big macro drivers that are supporting the growth of Auckland Airport and its business. Obviously, the transformation of and urbanisation of the middle class in the Asia Pacific Rim is helping significantly. Those people are very motivated to travel, and New Zealand is certainly high on some of their lists, which is fantastic for us. Combined with that, there's a few other things that are helping us. One is the opening of aviation travel around the world, so the liberalisation of air service agreements helps. And then you've got new planes, the 787s, the A350s, and lower fuel prices, making that cost of travel to New Zealand significantly cheaper than it has been in the past. So for us, those macro factors are supporting the growth of New Zealand tourism, full stop. And then for us, beneath that, in our business, a bunch of things are going on. We've really thought about our 30-year plan and how we want to grow our company and this airport here over the next 30 years. And that's led to a fundamental rethink in how we develop our infrastructure here and how we make the most of that for the next several decades. So that's really what's starting us to focus on what are the key things we need to do in the next 5 to 10 years to make the most of that growth coming out of Asia Pacific.
You've actually got a quite ambitious, quite aggressive strategy in terms of trying to bring in new carriers to Auckland Airport. Who are you targeting?
Well, our focus initially is around the Pacific Rim. We can look around our core markets, whether it's the Americas, Asia or Australasia, and see plenty of opportunity for growth. Now our challenge is obviously to characterise that growth, to pitch that to the airlines and work with our tourism partners to make that happen. But if I pick some key markets, the Americas, one of our markets with the highest propensity and awareness of New Zealand as a travel destination, hasn't been well served with air connectivity until later on this year. We'll have United and American coming in. We then look across to China. It's been a phenomenal market for us, but we still see plenty of opportunity there. I think in terms of the next opportunities we're focusing on, I think it's now into the other parts of Asia that we're very excited about. So places like India, the Philippines and Indonesia are very significant markets, still emerging in terms of their travel patterns. So that's where we see a really big significant opportunity for us. And in fact, our Prime Minister just literally yesterday signed a new air service agreement with India to try and open up that market for our country. So we are very excited by those opportunities in the near term. And beyond there, we're looking to our traditional markets for further growth. We think they've been constrained actually in the last few years by growth in the Pacific Rim. So we want to see those markets like Germany and the UK come back again.
We've got 16 million passengers going through this on an annual basis. What are your targets in the next 5 years?
Look, we don't publish targets as such. What we do is we have said long term, we think that could easily be 40 million by 2044 over the next 30 years. Now, in fact, at the rate we're growing at the moment, we're striking above that growth rate if you take on a straight line basis. And look, our history has been long-term growth. We've just passed our 50th birthday and we've been hitting about 5.5% compound growth every year over those 50 years. So we do have long-term confidence and we do think those macro changes around the Pacific Rim are really going to fundamentally underpin our business for the next couple of decades.
Well, you're certainly going to be doing a lot of investment in the next couple of years. I understand that the space we're sitting in departures is actually going to be increased by up to 100% in real terms. Now Rich is going to take us through the current layout and also take us through what's your plan. 100% increase is very ambitious. Is it sustainable?
Oh look, absolutely it is, and we spent a lot of time thinking about what is the right size and scale for this airport, what do we need for a passenger experience, what do we need for amenity and retail mix. And really, in many ways, we've actually been spending a lot of time in the last 2.5, 3 years replanning our entire master plan. And we felt it wasn't prudent to be spending a significant amount of money on major redevelopment until we had that settled. That was settled about 18 months, 24 months ago, and in that period then we've been dealing with the immediate capacity challenges we had to deal with. Now we're into the big licks of investment. So that's really what we're talking about now, is a really fundamental growth in the core of our international terminal, which will enable a much improved international departures experience. It'll enable much improved processing and new technology for our border agencies. And then finally, will also enable a much greater broadening of our retail mix at the airport, which I think our passengers have really come to expect now, and I think it's a real feature of the high street brands coming to the airport. This is their best opportunity now to get into this airport.
One last question, Adrian. If there was one sentence that you thought could best describe, best define what you think this airport represents, what would it be?
I think world-class New Zealand is what we want to achieve, and world-class in that context means not only the best of the world, but the best of New Zealand. I think travellers, when they go to an airport, they always want to see brands that they recognise, but they also really want to get that last taste of a destination they've been travelling to. And we want to build something that New Zealanders can be proud of. So we are ambitious, we are hungry, we want to be one of the best in the world, and that requires a constant and restless focus on doing things better, and that's what we're focused on.
Which, as we've heard from Adrian, the heart of your strategy is to create an airport that really is world class and to bring the best of New Zealand to the world. Now, just let's start this conversation by you taking us through how the airport is currently laid out in terms of its retail platform.
So it's a long-term vision we have. So the delivery of a store mix which represents best of New Zealand and the world is going to take time to get there. But it's a lens through which we evaluate all of the retailers. It was fundamental to us choosing 2 new retailers for our duty-free operations going forward. And what we were looking for was retailers who could bring innovative concepts that differentiated their stores from each other, so we didn't have pure duplication. And then when we look into the specialty stores, we're really focusing on stores that present unique New Zealand products so that it plays to the sense of place, but also differentiates our airport from all those others.
The 2 main operators here are Alia and Arianto, and they actually effectively replaced JR Duty Free and DFS. They've got a lot of space here, and the point about differentiation is key. I mean, what is unique about each of those 2 individual stores?
The competition authorities in New Zealand mean that we have to have 2 duty-free operators, and so rather than have 2 stores that were identical, we really asked them to give a lot of thought to how they could differentiate their stores. An example of that is the Alia bringing Johnny Walker House to New Zealand. We're the first store in Australasia to have the Johnny Walker House, and I think only 8th in the world. Similarly, we had the Loop brought their Candy Cloud concept to us and their World of Whiskey. So what we're really looking for is new brands in both perfumes and cosmetics. Both retailers brought a whole range of new brands so that customers have real choice, and particularly around the range of products available, not just duplication of the same SKUs.
You've also got the shelf bar, which we're sitting next to now, and that is actually proving to be quite a successful introduction.
Yeah, and that was another one of the innovations that Alia in this case brought to the table, where you can purchase a full premium liquor for a nominal sum, and really try the spirits and cocktails that would otherwise be unavailable in a traditional tasting environment in a duty-free store.
Well, just walk us around the rest of the footprint here and take us through some of the highlights.
I think the things that really stand out for our international visitors are products that are unique to New Zealand. Huge growth in Manuka honey, for its very popular with our Asian visitors for its medicinal properties. You've got New Zealand brands that sell very well in fashion merino wools, and you've got quality destination products that particularly feature the multicultural heritage of New Zealand. So those are things that you will never find in an airport outside of New Zealand, and then that's reinforced by international brands which have limited presence in New Zealand, the likes of Victoria's Secret, which Alia brought to the airport when they opened here. And as we move forward into our redevelopment, there'll be many more international brands that we'll bring to the airport. Interestingly,
the Chinese PAX numbers going through the airport last year were plus 25%. How are you going to align the new retail offer, which is coming in 2 years' time, with that growing marketplace?
There's a tremendous opportunity here, but we're also conscious of growing Arrival's duty-free network in China itself. So that's why we're going to be focusing very heavily on the products that are unique to New Zealand, and or products where they have confidence around the authenticity. So there's health and wellbeing products that are tremendously popular. There's world famous New Zealand wines, particularly our Sauvignon Blancs and Pinot Noirs, that are very popular with our visitors. And then with the luxury brands, we're looking to make sure that we have a competitive assortment, but we don't want to make sure that we are so exclusive that only the wealthiest of our visitors can purchase from here.
You've already got a good F&B offer here. With the increase in space, how are you going to create new product offers? I mean, are you going to incorporate more domestic retail, famous restaurateurs, for example, into the new development? And how much more space you're going to allocate?
Well, food and beverage provides a great opportunity to differentiate. New Zealand has top quality produce, world famous wines, so we really want to showcase those. Like many countries, our customers' interest in food and beverage has grown exponentially. Everybody seems to think they're a master chef, and so what we're wanting to do is provide food and beverage that is truly memorable, and we want people to make an active choice to come to the airport early and to dine.
Give me some examples.
So we've got a number of retailers in New Zealand who really take the philosophy of from the garden to the plate right through. There's tremendous interest in growth in craft beers. There's lots of interest in organic foods. Coffee is an area that has just exploded in interest and consumption levels and the expectations of consumers. So all the key day parts are areas where we think we can lift the standard and meet customer expectations.
Now you're developing a social media and digital communication strategy. How much more evidence will there be of that in the coming months?
We've got a clear strategy to engage with our passengers before they come to the airport, and the obvious device to do that is via their phone. That's the reason why we've partnered in our app with TripIt, which is a journey planner. We're the first airport in the world to do that. We want to be able to use the phone to guide people through all the stages of their journey through the airport and inform them with relevant and timely advice on processing times, special offers available, times for boarding, etc. So platforms that we are looking to join together so that our passengers have a seamless journey with information provided to them when they need it in a timely and relevant way.
I asked Adrian one question about defining the experience that he sought for this airport. What's your take on that?
I keep coming back to what our retail strategy is. I want this to represent the best of New Zealand and the world, and I want our local New Zealanders to be proud of the airport, and I want our visitors to leave here with the last experience they have encapsulating the best of their time in New Zealand.